out of nowhere, wind started circulating, and all of a sudden, blue sparks came out of the sky. No lightning, just blue sparks. And at 1 o'clock in the morning, 60 fires just hit everywhere. And these firefighters are saying to a person they've never seen a fire like this.
Global climate engineering, geoengineering, solar radiation management programs are an absolutely undeniable reality. The ongoing illegal climate intervention operations are decimating the biosphere. This includes further fueling catastrophic forest fires all over the globe. Climate engineering operations are completely disrupting the evaporative cycle, convection, wind, and thus the entire hydrological cycle. Extreme drought and deluge is now the norm. Climate engineering fallout is covering the forest foliage and everything else with an incendiary or flammable layer of extremely fine particulate dust. In regard to the rapidly increasing catastrophic forest fires, the intentional climate modification programs are by far, mathematically speaking, the single greatest causal factor. Portugal is being subjected to the same catastrophic climate manipulations scenario that is being carried out in the Western U.S. The fires in Portugal and Spain have been catastrophic. Planet Earth is under siege by completely out of control power structures around the globe. Weather warfare is a primary weapon for them.
Zahlreiche postapokalyptische Bilder und Videos erreichen uns aus Santa Rosa und Nordkalifornien. Das genauere Betrachten und Studieren der Bilder und des Videomaterials wirft jedoch zahlreiche Fragen auf, die sich im Kern darauf fokussieren, ob der militärisch-kriminelle Komplex und der tiefe Staat hier nicht eventuell nachgeholfen haben.
Oh, molten metal.
Ob Santa Rosa und Umgebung so eine Art Testlabor für direkte Energiewaffen sind. Welche Art von Waldbränden lässt Bäume intakt, aber zerstäubt bzw. pulverisiert Häuser ohne eine Spur zu hinterlassen? Gerätschaften, Betonarbeitsplatten, Toiletten, Textilien, Mauerwerk und so weiter komplett verschwunden. Feuerwehrmänner, die so etwas zuvor niemals sahen, berichteten, es ist, als wären wir atomar vernichtet worden. Demgegenüber kündigte neulich der militärische Nachrichtendienst öffentlich an, dass sie Laser- und Teilchenstrahlenwaffen, sogenannte DEWs, getestet haben, welche an Flugzeugen montiert waren. Lauffeuer verbrennt Beton und Metall, aber verschont die Bäume? Wie lange braucht man, um den Fehler darin zu verstehen? Wir hörten bereits, dass Kerosin bei einer anderen Gelegenheit Beton und Metall schmelzen ließ. Und dann die Frage, warum? Warum Häuser niederbrennen? Und die Antwort lautet Agenda 21 und 30. Diese Psychopathen kennen keine Grenzen, und wenn wir Menschen weiterhin immer noch an uns selbst zweifeln, werden sie alles von jedem Lebewesen bekommen und weitermachen. Wie viel braucht es noch, bis wir begreifen, dass etwas wirklich Hässliches geschieht? In all diesen künstlich gemachten Events, wie viel brauchen wir noch, um wirklich zu handeln und das System zu verlassen?
You can use laser from high in the sky, up in above Earth in the near Earth orbit. You can use geostationary. You can use those that are orbiting, but a satellite can easily start a fire from space, right down to a very small area. And you would, of course, control the area with a laptop and algorithms, codes, etc. Because of just a few words of the eyewitness account, many of them talking about the quality of the wind. It was not just the speed of the wind. That seemed incidental. It was a certain quality that was described as supernatural, was described as frightening, terrifying. And that, to me, is the hallmark of scalar weaponry. As it breaks through into space-time, there is always this terrible wind. And then what happens at that point is molecular disintegration. And when I saw drone footage of Santa Rosa post-fire, when the smoldering had died down, I mean, it is horrific, because you see absolutely vanished, disintegrated entirely buildings right next to still green trees standing along the streets. So these fires, any of them, are all aluminized. In other words, aluminum oxide is certainly one of the features of the chemical trails being laid by commercial and military jets. These are plasma clouds, plasma being the fourth state of matter. The atmosphere is ionized, as I maintain, which means that it's like a huge antenna. And the reason it's being ionized is so that there is sort of a continuation from the ionosphere down into the lower atmosphere, is for many military operations that are ongoing. That said, these fires that are happening, all the firemen comment on it, all the pilots flying through these fires and spewing chemicals and water and whatever, they all say that this is not a normal fire. This is chemical fire. These are chemical fires, and that's why they get so bloody hot, and why they're just terrible for people to be around and breathe. This is just a military dream come true, this technology, because it can be so exact. In this case, showed that it was only a square. It was literally a square was hit. It wasn't random like a natural event would be.
Do you think that it is, you speak of algorithm and frequency, are they targeting specific frequencies of the materials that they wish to burn, leaving the frequency, the wavelength, if you will, of trees, for example, out of that particular set of algorithms?
Yes, it would have to do with that, and it would also have to do with the resonance of particular living entities or entities that have living materials in them, because the pulsing is the main ingredient of these directed energy weapons, and they can stack any number of frequencies on those pulses. So what you have is a targeting system that is just unparalleled. It can target whatever is the algorithm is set to do, and that's what I think happened in Santa Rosa. Now we are all part of a huge psychological operation, a psyop, in which we are first subjected to events, and then those events will be explained to us in a fictional entertainment format. They are feeling completely comfortable with setting up events and decimating people's homes, their lives. This is how we're being treated now. They're going to give us event after event after event to keep us busy. They love to show us that they know so much and that we're going to miss everything, because we're going to get caught up in sending blankets and money and thinking of the poor sufferers, which of course they never think about.
Sooner or later, the fire's gonna come knocking in our hometown.
The fire gets past our line, it goes to our town.
Burn over seconds away. It's gonna feel like the end of the world.
algo se ha demostrado estos días, es justo esto. Las acciones del gobierno español han sido acciones, ¿sabes?, de un Estado en decomposición. En todas las acciones que han llevado a cabo no tienen nada que ver con una forma muchísimo más inteligente y sutil que esto lo podría haber llevado a cabo. Que también salió del guión hasta cierto punto, no tengo ninguna duda. Pero que ellos, a nivel de gobierno central, perdieron los papeles y perdieron el control de la situación. ¿Cuántos millones han salido en Badalona, en el centro de Barcelona? Tú ya no puedes, ¿sabes?, a confundir o engañar a la gente cuando tú tienes 2 millones de personas en la calle gritando libertad. Es que no hay forma que tú puedes meter esto y dar un botón y volver atrás. Y el ejército, yo estoy escuchando a la gente hablando que va a venir el ejército. Pero el ejército nunca va a disparar contra el pueblo. Si llega a este punto, entonces la élite supranacional pondrán fin a Rajoy ellos mismos. Porque lo que no van a permitir es una revolución que engloba Europa entera. Porque la élite gobernante ya no necesita países, lo que necesita son regiones económicos. Y esta es una de las cosas que estamos viendo, aunque no está en los medios de comunicación. Están desmontando Estados-naciones, países, y están creando regiones económicos para que puedan funcionar y sobrevivir este Armagedón, desplome económico-financiero que estamos a punto, ¿sabes?, de vivir. Es una jugada maestra hecha por la élite. Y no te estoy hablando de Club Bilderberg, es una organización de muchas que se han juntado para crear esta red necesaria supranacional para promover los intereses de la élite que no tiene nada que ver con los intereses de la gente normal.
I think we're witnessing really the disintegration of this kind of European order, and there will be a confederation in Europe clearly like 10 or 15 years from now, but not based on the nation states that we know, right? If Catalonia and Spain break apart, then a lot of things will happen. That will have definitely a domino effect with Vanuatu, Scotland, and all sorts of other regions. There might be easily 35 to 45 new countries coming up.
Während sich der Konflikt um Katalonien immer weiter zuspitzt und es nur noch eine Frage der Zeit ist, bis es zu gewaltsamen Auseinandersetzungen kommt, lässt die EU-Bürokratie in Brüssel keinen Zweifel daran, dass sie Kataloniens Unabhängigkeitsbestrebungen ablehnt und die Zentralregierung in Madrid unterstützt. Vor 2 Jahrzehnten zeigte die EU eine ganz andere Haltung. Als damals mehrere Teilrepubliken Jugoslawiens die Unabhängigkeit für sich forderten, überschlug sich die Führung der EU geradezu in ihren Bekenntnissen zum Selbstbestimmungsrecht der Nationen. Am Ende unterstützte sie sogar das gewaltsame Zerbrechen des Landes Jugoslawien. Warum? Weil der damalige Konflikt den Brüsseler Bürokraten dazu verhalf, ihren Einflussbereich auszudehnen und mehr Macht zu gewinnen. Kataloniens Ausscheiden aus der EU dagegen könnte weiteren Unabhängigkeitsbestrebungen den Rücken stärken, möglicherweise den Zerfall der EU einleiten und den von ihr profitierenden Parasiten in Brüssel den Wirt entziehen. Wird die EU tatsächlich zusehen, wenn Madrid Gewalt gegen Katalonien anwendet? Wird sie sogar einen Bürgerkrieg hinnehmen? Die EU hat ihre Einstellung zu militärischer Gewalt nämlich nicht nur in Jugoslawien, sondern auch außerhalb Europas schon mehrmals deutlich gemacht, indem sie die Kriegseinsätze der USA, der NATO und der Vereinten Nationen im Nahen Osten und in Nordafrika mehrheitlich unterstützt hat. Niemand sollte sich über den Ernst der gegenwärtigen Lage in Spanien Illusionen machen. Der Katalonien-Konflikt läutet eine Zeitenwende innerhalb der EU ein. Wir stehen an der Schwelle zur Rückkehr des Krieges nach Westeuropa und die bisherige Untätigkeit der EU ist rein taktisch bedingt. Ihre Vertreter sehen zunächst zu, warten ab und hoffen darauf, dass sich die spanische Zentralregierung gegen die Separatisten durchsetzt. Sollte Madrid aber in Bedrängnis geraten, werden die von mächtigen Lobbyorganisationen der Finanzindustrie getragenen Bürokraten in Brüssel auf keinen Fall tatenlos mit ansehen, wie ihnen der Boden für ihre Existenz entzogen wird. Wie sie vorgehen werden, lässt sich noch nicht voraussagen. Aber wozu sie in der Lage sind, lässt sich aus der Geschichte ablesen.
that the new Cold War is already much more dangerous than was the 45-year Cold War that it is said we survived. The epicenter of the previous Cold War was a long way from Russia. It was first in Berlin and then in what we call the Third World. Today it's right on Russia's borders with the NATO buildup in the Black Sea. But NATO presence is not only ongoing, it's getting bigger and bigger. More and more ships and troops, weapons, planes, missile defense installations are spreading along Russia's western borders from the Baltic area in Eastern Europe all the way to the Black Sea. And this is clearly meant to be a permanent infrastructure. It's not rotational and it's not temporary, as NATO claimed a year or so ago. This NATO buildup is perceived in Moscow, and I quote, as growing aggression against Russia. Now stop and think about this. We have these Russiagate advocates telling us recently that Russia attacked us during the presidential election. They have absolutely no logical, empirical evidence for this. But Russians have a lot of empirical evidence because they look out the window and they see NATO on their doorstep. Increasingly, there is a consensus forming in the Russian policy class that the United States is already at war against Russia. This is the kind of perception that you don't want. The myth that you can read in the newspapers almost daily that post-Soviet Russia, unlike Soviet Russia, is too weak to wage prolonged Cold War and therefore will eventually capitulate. That's the sole logic of this tsunami of sanctions directed at the Russian economy. If you look at the recent reports of financial institutions, all of these institutions in the last 3 to 4 months have produced reports that have Russia's economic trajectory upward. They say Russia has recovered first from the collapse of world energy prices, and secondly from the sanctions, and have even benefited Russia in that it's reformed its economy in various ways to be more self-sufficient. So the notion that Russia is too weak economically to push back is false. Another myth, this notion that Russia is isolated in world affairs. Unlike the Soviet Union, which had all these communist ties and around the world, that Russia is isolated. Now look at Russia today. It doesn't have a bloc, but it has partners and allies. Indeed, it appears that Russia is expanding, not aggressively, but voluntarily, its alliances, treaties, partnerships, cooperative relations in the world, while the American bloc, or the American sphere of influence in Europe, is in growing crisis. So the question becomes, who's isolated in the world? It's certainly not Russia. And then, above all, remember this, that during the last Cold War, China was a rival of Russia. It's completely different today. China and Russia are allies and partners, politically, financially, militarily. So the world has changed. And that's why this Cold War, being waged in the United States on the assumption that the world did not change and that Russia is weak, is so dangerous.
There is no doubt that Iran is in compliance with the nuclear agreement. The hawkish elements, the ones who are responsible for wars that we have fought unceasingly for 16 years now, are all active. They always stay in positions of influence one way or the other. Frankly, there's an enormous amount of money that is earned by warfare. Often they say, well, Iran is a rogue state, and that also you frequently hear it said that Iran is the principal sponsor of global terrorism. I find it very difficult to find evidence. I agree with former Congressman Ron Paul, who said that Iran does not have a history of invading other countries. I do not believe that U.S. foreign policy is dictated by the needs or desires of the people of the United States. And what we do is we tell the public who to hate, and then when the time comes, we tell them we must go to war. While we always come up with an excuse, the bottom line is we have to go and kill these people because we hate them. And we hate them because we told you to hate them back a few years ago, and we built this up. Nonetheless, we are slowly moving towards a war with Iran. If you look at the population of Iran, it's equivalent to the combined populations of Syria, Iraq, and Afghanistan. And so we're looking at essentially taking on a war of the dimensions of everything we have been fighting for the last 16 years. And of course, we have not scored a single success in any of these wars. And yet we're moving towards another one that's even bigger. We have been at war without ceasing for 16 years, and we have nothing to show for it. And so I think we need to sort of build up a resistance to this automatic reflex of going to war with everybody that someone labels as a bad guy or a rogue state or whatever it is. That would be my advice, is people need to become much more skeptical of going to war.
Последние 15 лет, какие вы видите ошибки российской политики по отношениям с Западом?
Значит, самая главная ошибка с нашей стороны в отношениях с Западом, что мы слишком вам доверяли. Ваша ошибка заключается в том, что вы восприняли это доверие как слабость и злоупотребили этим доверием. Но вот нужно, понимая это, перечеркнуть это, то, что было, перелистнуть эту страницу и идти дальше, основывая наши отношения на взаимном уважении и относясь друг к другу как равноценным, равноправным партнерам.
fürchten nichts mehr als den mündigen Bürger. Und das natürliche Ziel der Herrschenden ist immer, ihre Herrschaft zu stabilisieren. Und dazu können sie entsprechend der menschlichen Natur zwei Wege beschreiten. Der eine Weg ist psychische Machtausübung, sozusagen den Kopf in Ketten zu legen. Und der andere Weg ist die physische Machtausübung. So, diese Unterscheidung kann man heute etwas auffächern in das, was man Hardpower nennt, militärische Macht, ökonomische Gewalt, soziale, ökonomische Verelendung. Hardpower regt in uns einen natürlichen Widerstand an, das mögen wir nicht. Deswegen hat man von Anfang an versucht, wie kann man diese moralischen Sensitivitäten unterlaufen. Das ist dann das, was man heute Softpower nennt. Softpower hat den Vorteil, es ist häufig so gestrickt, dass es unsere psychischen Immunsysteme unterläuft. Der Basisaspekt der Softpower ist jetzt, eine Rahmenerzählung zu finden, die dem Volk plausibel erscheint und die es in die richtige Richtung treibt. Der öffentliche Diskurs, der zur Demokratie gehört, ist mittlerweile ersetzt worden durch eine skrupellose psychologische Kriegsführung. Eine Mentalvergiftung soll unser natürliches geistiges Immunsystem gegen Manipulation weitgehend lahmlegen. Das kann man machen durch Erzeugen von Hass, weil der Hass dafür sorgt, dass es Ablenkziele gibt und die Zentren der Macht nicht mehr im Fokus stehen. Dann Angst vor Verschlechterung der eigenen sozialen Situation oder andere Ängste. Ängste haben den Vorteil, dass sie das Denken überhaupt blockieren. Und wir haben Mentalvergiftungen, die auf den kognitiven Bereich zielen. Dazu gehört das riesige Spektrum Orwellscher Falschwörter, mit denen Politik und Medien versuchen, über die Sprache unser Denken in den Griff zu kriegen. Eine andere Klasse sind sogenannte Denunziationsbegriffe. Das ist ein ganz toller Trick, Themen, die die Eliten als gefährlich ansehen, durch eine Verklammerungstechnik sozusagen zu immunisieren, zu einem gedanklichen Sperrgebiet zu machen. Einmal die Aktualindoktrination, die jetzt im Augenblick passiert, tagesaktuelle Nachrichten, Fakten unsichtbar machen, Angst erzeugen, das sind genau die Medien. Interessanter ist, und da will ich näher drauf eingehen, die Tiefenindoktrination, das sind länger angelegte Prozesse, um ganze Weltbilder uns einzuimpfen. Hier sollen ganze Denkmöglichkeiten unsichtbar gemacht werden. Das ist das viel ambitioniertere Ziel. Die Medien stehen sehr im Fokus. Die Schulen sind aber für die Tiefenindoktrination die viel wichtigere Instanz. Die eigentlichen Zentren der Macht sind unsichtbar. Das ist der Witz der repräsentativen Demokratie. Wir wählen an Stellen, wo die Wahl eigentlich kaum noch einen Effekt hat, weil wir sozusagen immer aus einer hochgradig vorselektierten Elitengruppe wählen. Wir sind entpolitisiert, wir sind weitgehend in Apathie und Resignation getrieben. Warum? Damit wir orientierungslos bleiben und damit wir vergessen, wofür es sich zu kämpfen lohnt. Mehr als 50 Jahre Elitendemokratie haben uns gezeigt, wohin dieser Weg führt. Es ist der Weg der Zerstörung. Die Nutznießer dieser Zerstörung haben keinen Grund, diesen Weg der Zerstörung zu ändern. Die notwendige Veränderungsenergie kann nur von unten kommen, von uns. Das ist unsere Aufgabe und das ist unsere Verantwortung.
always must be asked, whenever these situations happen, terrorism of any kind, who benefits from this happening because of what they can then justify to change society in the way that they want, to turn this world into a global, centralized, Orwellian military police state. So if you look at each one of these attacks, what follows is more surveillance, more destruction of privacy, more power to the police and the security forces. Then look at it in its totality. Look at all the terrorist attacks of recent times. They have been used to transform society in terms of control and imposition. What is happening with these attacks is that they're justifying increasing police state, and then they move on to the next attack, and they push through that, and they justify another advance of the police state, and so it goes on, getting more and more extreme. You push a gate and you see if you get resistance. If you don't get resistance, you walk through it and you go to the next gate. Now you push that. If you don't get resistance, you walk through it and you go to the next gate, and you're moving on and on and on and on. The benefit of this, or another benefit of this, is that people kind of get used to it. They get used to what would have horrified them before, and now it becomes part of life, and they get used to it, and other generations are born, and to them it's normal. So you don't get the same resistance you would have had before. The point of targeting places where people have previously felt safe, like music concerts, like shopping malls, schools, etc., is to stop people feeling safe. Because when people don't feel safe, they look for the authorities to protect them from what they fear. I heard from a British police anti-terrorism officer. He said that they're discussing putting scanners, like airport-type scanners, at the end of streets, particular streets, so people can't come in and out of the street without going through the scanner. That's where it's leading. I keep saying to people, if you don't like what's happening now, then just think on, because this is what's happening now. It's not where it's meant to end. It's meant to conclude with levels of total control and surveillance. The key thing is to simply hold on to this question. When these attacks happen, who benefits? And invariably, it's those that want to advance the totalitarian global state.
So we look at this event, and we are in Las Vegas, super high security on all levels, in the casino, in the hotel, massive security things everywhere. But there's no footage whatsoever of him coming, going, during the shooting, nothing. And this is a standard procedure when you look at these military operations, that the CCTV cameras are shut off, they're turned off. Another ingredients that are always there is that they need a patsy. They need somebody to blame it on. And they always want a lone wolf, a lone crazy guy, or a lone individual with a fanatic belief system. And then if he dies on location, case closed. You don't even have to look into it. And so it's very convenient when this lone individual commits suicide or is shot on location. And the reason why they want him crazy is because then there's no motive. He was just mentally ill, or he was crazy, or he was a fanatic. So we have this Stephen Paddock who fits the patsy profile perfectly. Another ingredients that are always there when it comes to these operations is that there is a drill beforehand. The day or days before this thing happens, there will be a drill. But that drill is there to get vehicles in position, explosives in position, cameras, crisis actors, directors, everything needed for the operation. Get it in position without any interference from normal people. So was there a drill here? Yes, there was more than one. There was a Homeland Security drill. There was also an active shooter drill here. So that the drill was there. I also want to ask if there was 22,000 people in the crowd, which we're being told, that would mean that there would be at least 20,000 cell phones there with cameras at a concert taking photos. Where are all these videos that private people, normal citizens have taken? Where are all the photos? Where are they? Then you got companies, for instance, you got crowds on demand where you can rent a crowd. You can rent a crowd for a rally or a demonstration or riot or whatever you want. If you want fans for a rock band, if you're a failed politician and you want supporters. And then you got another different type of companies that were crisis actors. You got even companies where you can rent amputee actors. You got simmer bodies where you can rent dead bodies. You can even operate on them. They've got everything inside them, fluid, blood. There's one company called crisis-solutions.com that I find highly suspicious when it comes to false flag operations. What they say is they're talking about not the terror acts, but they call it crisis simulations. And they're talking about players. Then there's another company that we really had to look out for. It's called Serco. And this is the biggest company you have never heard about. This one is like an octopus with its tentacles all over the world in every aspect of life, from education, prison system, transportation. It's in the military. When you look at Spectre, the James Bond movie, what is called Spectre in that, I would say, is indirectly Serco, that there are very many similarities about how they have the tentacles and everywhere. I was informed by an insider that they actually leave clues about their upcoming attacks in the evidence. This individual informed me and said that the way that the forces behind these operations, or in the New World Order, the way they interpret the law of karma is that if they tell us what they're going to do, even in subtle ways, the bad karma will be on our shoulder, not theirs. They're very, very afraid of the law of karma. So they have to put it out there. They have to give us clues, and then it's up to us. If we don't react well, we just have ourselves to blame. I think we need to step carefully here. They're playing it on a different level. They're luring us into some kind of ambush. There's a bigger agenda going on here, I would think.
There are different extraterrestrial races. Some of them are more aggressive and they want to find allies amongst humanity that can help them with their agenda. And other extraterrestrials are more positive and they are looking for people and institutions that want to explore more peaceful ways of expanding their consciousness and of becoming members of the galactic community. So different extraterrestrial groups look at humanity as potential recruits for their agenda. So in many ways we are like proxies for different extraterrestrials.
Many races that are visiting the planet currently. There are thousands that are here on the planet now, and many are not necessarily Pléyades. They are they can be from Arcturus, they can be from Sirius, they can be from Andromedan. You've got to remember you're talking about races that are anywhere from tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of years or even millions of years in advance of us. But most of those beings are here with benevolent intentions and are here to do everything they can to help humanity to grow and to allow us to take our rightful place in the universe with our brothers and sisters. And they do, I believe, at certain points in time, pick certain individuals to actually help or impart some knowledge to advance humanity. There are many individuals throughout history, I believe, that have been helped in such fashion. Tesla, to name one. You know, they have done everything. They've made every effort to talk with certain government individuals or even certain governments of certain countries. And most of the time, the government turns them away and says, no, we're not interested. You know, and you can go back to the Accords and the pacts made with the Greys and all that kind of stuff. We got technology instead of healing the planet and giving humanity everything that we could have ever possibly dreamed of if we would only set aside our nukes, but we wouldn't do it. So they actually, they watch and of course are concerned. But they, really would not step in to do anything. If we wanted to destroy ourselves, they're not going to stop us. They will not interfere in human free will. However, they will stop or take action if we are going to destroy the planet. Because the planet is a living entity and is part of an entire system and systems, and that represents a balance and an energy and a force throughout this local part of the universe. And that affects a lot more beings and entities than just people on Earth. Gaia is a living entity, Mother Earth, and she has got to move forward. We are passing through the Alcyon energy right now. The energy, the photonic energy from the Alcyon sun is connected to our sun, Sol. And as we pass through those photonic energies, this planet is moving into the higher realms. And it is going to continue to do so. It cannot wait any longer. And there are going to be people that are lost here. But those that are ready will go on, and those that are not will leave. The Pléyades as a being are considerably higher in frequency than humankind are. They are the closest thing to the being the humans. That's where humanity comes from. Even though humanity actually has 12-stranded DNA, only 2 strands are active at this time, and is what makes this planet and our people here unique. But they are most concerned with us because we are the closest thing to them and vice versa. So they feel responsible for us. They watch over us, and they have that connection to us. Because humanity will wake up, and we will take our rightful place, and we will raise and essentially ascend to the higher levels. And that's what the reptilians don't want to lose hold of. because we are their food, we are their energy. So as I said, there's that 12 strands of DNA, and that is starting to wake up. All right, and if it does get activated, that's what they're scared to death is going to happen. As gross and horrific as that sounds, the reptilian caste has been in control of this planet for about 350,000 years. So it is they who are controlling what we would call the cabal. You know, you're talking maybe 0.05% of population that control the entire planet and have made most of humanity subservient with what we would call the Babylonian money magic system. What we do is we produce negative energy, and our negative energy supplies them with a nourishment. So that's we're like a commodity, essentially like farming. And, so this planet has been under that kind of control, that kind of constraint, and we need to get away from that as soon as possible. And as long as they can keep us in the dark, keep us focused on negativity, they will maintain the upper hand. What we have to do here is wake up and stand as a united race and say, hey, we really do need help, and ask for it as a race, as a community. And at that point, it no longer is a violation of humanity's free will. That's when our brothers and sisters can come in and help.
tenemos bastante evidencia científica que explica cómo orientar la atención, la conciencia y la meditación tiene efectos en distintos ámbitos. El más conocido es el ámbito del bienestar. Cuando las personas somos conscientes, nos cuidamos más, nos prestamos atención y eso afecta a la salud. Cuando practicamos ejercicios que nos conectan con el momento presente, aparece una especie de bienestar interno natural. Una tranquilidad, una relajación. Es como que el cuerpo recupera un poco esa armonía. Cuando uno toma el hábito de dedicar unos minutos al día a hacer estos ejercicios, empieza a generar una fuente de bienestar interior. Y esta fuente de bienestar interior, además, afecta a otros motores del bienestar interiores que tenemos. Y otro es la resiliencia. La resiliencia es la capacidad de vivir en la adversidad, de funcionar en la adversidad e incluso de crecer en la adversidad. Para poder ser resiliente necesitamos ser conscientes. La adversidad en sí misma puede echar abajo a una persona, pero cuando ponemos conciencia y ponemos recursos para manejarnos, entonces empezamos a desarrollar mecanismos naturales de resiliencia, regular las emociones negativas, manejar la depresión, la ansiedad y la hostilidad que tienen que ver con la profesión. Y esto también hace que aparezca la generosidad y la amabilidad de forma natural, porque cuando estamos más tranquilos estamos en una situación de mayor agradecimiento, nos molestan menos las cosas, nos preocupamos más por los demás y somos más generosos. La amabilidad y la generosidad es otro de los motores del bienestar. Somos animales sociales y aquellas prácticas que hacen bien a los demás nos hacen sentirnos bien. Y esto tiene que ver con el último motor del bienestar, que es el talante. Cuando somos optimistas, vemos retos, vemos oportunidades, nos fijamos en las cosas buenas que hay en la vida, entonces también estamos poniendo en marcha estos motores del bienestar. Y veis que están relacionados los unos con los otros. Cuando una persona es más consciente, también empieza a desarrollar de forma natural esta amabilidad, mejora el talante porque se da cuenta que no tiene sentido estar quejándose todo el tiempo de unas cosas y otras que no se pueden cambiar. Se da cuenta de que las relaciones humanas son más enriquecedoras cuando hablamos de las cosas que nos conectan y no de lo que nos desconectan. Y no es una cosa nueva, ya lo sabían los antiguos. Michel de Montaigne, que es un filósofo conocido, francés, escribió esta poesía que dice: cuando bailo, bailo, cuando duermo, duermo, y cuando camino por un bosque si mi pensamiento se distrae hacia asuntos distantes, lo conduzco de nuevo al camino, a la belleza de mi soledad. Y esta idea ha sido ahora retomada por una marca de automóviles que ha hecho un anuncio muy interesante que vamos a ver ahora.
Cuando trabajes, trabaja. Cuando descanses, descansa. Cuando ayudes, ayuda. Y cuando lo intentes, de verdad inténtalo. Cuando ganes, gana. Y cuando pierdas, sobre todo cuando pierdas, pierde. Cuando conduzcas, conduce.
Parece que todo es ganar, pero no. Perder es muy importante, porque si uno pierde con conciencia, aprende. Si uno gana con conciencia, no se lo cree. Si uno juega con conciencia, disfruta. Si uno descansa con conciencia, realmente descansa. Y el problema un poco que tenemos es que intentamos hacer todo mezclado, ¿no? Así que la clave para mí es perder o ganar no es lo importante es vivir conscientemente, porque eso es lo más interesante en la vida.